All right, looks like Lilith is not going to be able to talk her way out of this one. She tries to convince this Felix that she is not who he thinks she is, and not that Lilith he's heard about, but Felix is not buying it. He grabs out his machete and takes a swing at Lilith. Let's see if this hits. I imagine he also aims, so he'll get a reroll with that, and that is going to be... Ooh, 3 successes, which is definitely enough to beat Lilith's defense of just 1. It looks like he is going to be swinging at her right leg. So let's roll for damage and see how much damage Lilith is going to be taking. Not a great start. 4 damage. Luckily, she does have her combat armor, but she's still going to be taking 2 damage. As this guy does not believe her, quickly draws a machete, slashes her right in her right leg. And even though she has some armor, it's able to pierce it and deal some damage to her leg. Now we're at the top of the initiative with back to Felix, and he's just probably going to take another swing with his machete, seeing if he can hit this time VRAM. And looks like he is. He's probably not going to reroll that. I guess he also banked some action points, so I'll bank that one that he just got, and then we'll use this next one to roll an extra combat dice as he takes a shot at, or a swing at VRAM, also hitting VRAM for 4 damage. Looks like VRAM is getting hit in the torso. VRAM does have their armor, was it the standard plating, which protects them for 2, but still brings them down to 10 health, so not a great spot to be in. You may be wondering how we got here, so let me start back at the beginning. Hello everybody, I'm Thomas, and welcome back to another solo playthrough video. This time I'm back with some Fallout 2D20 with a brand new character and a brand new story. This is the story of Lilith and her quest to become the Raider Queen. So before I get into the background of what exactly is going on here, I'll quickly note what game systems and sources I am using. So I am back on Foundry Virtual Tabletop. I am playing the Fallout 2D20 RPG, and of course I'm using Mythic Game Master Emulator 2nd Edition to help emulate a Game Master and throw in some random events. We deal with the chaos factors. I used Mythic in my previous Fallout playthroughs and really enjoyed it, so I'm going to be using it again in this playthrough. So, the main character of the story is Lilith on her quest to become Queen of the Raiders. She is currently a level 5 raider who specializes in kind of 2 primary things. She's pretty charismatic, but she mainly specializes in using laser weapons and also her experience in fixing and dealing with robots. So, as you can see by her special stats, she's not super strong, she's very perceptive, has some decent endurance, pretty high charisma, really high intelligence, decent agility, and not the best luck. The perks I've grabbed for her are Cap Collector, Intense Training, Laser Commander, Robot Expert, Science, and Scoundrel. Her main weapon of choice, which I mentioned she's good with laser weapons, so that's her main weapon, is a laser gun. She also has a laser musket. She is adorned in combat armor, so she's got all the different pieces of some combat, just basic combat armor, nothing too crazy, but it's also pretty decent. She's got some basic gear on her, some stim packs, some bobby pins, guana on a stick, you know, the usual. And Lilith travels with her trusty companion, VRAM, the Mr. Handy robot that she fixed up, and VRAM has been with her since day 1. So, VRAM is, like I said, a Mr. Handy robot. The attachments VRAM has is a buzzsaw arm, a flamer arm attachment, and pincer arm. As I kind of alluded to earlier, they have the standard plating armor. Their abilities, they have really high strength, pretty high perception, okay endurance and charisma, pretty good intelligence, average agility, and pretty good luck. The perks that VRAM has is Armorer, so they're able to create armor, Scrapper, so they're able to be good at scrapping materials, and Slayer, where they're able to do a lot of good damage with a melee weapon. So yeah, the main weapons they have, like I kind of just mentioned, is their buzzsaw arm attachment, their flamer arm attachment. They also have a machete, which they don't really use. I kind of went over their gear, and they also have some caps they started with. So a bit about the story so far before I get back into this combat. Lilith is currently the head of a raider group called the Neon Maruaders. So I'll quickly go over a bit of backstory about some factions and NPCs before we hop back into this combat that we have unfortunately gotten ourselves into. I should note, I've spent a decent amount of time prepping this character, working on their backstory, their perks, and working out different NPCs and factions. So I really hope they don't die, because that would be super disappointing, because I've put hours into the different NPCs and factions and whatnot. So I have different tabs for everything, which I'll quickly go over now. So the main faction that Lilith is a part of is the Neon Maruaders, and she actually helped found them. She is their current leader. And a little bit about the Neon Maruaders is the group distinguishes itself by its members' expertise in energy weapons and advanced technology, embodying the fusion of ruthless raider culture with high-tech edge. They're notorious for the raids illuminated by the glow of plasma and laser fire, making their nighttime assaults a fearsome sight in the Boston wasteland, which I think is a pretty cool image. It's not a huge raider group right now, but it is decently sized. I would say definitely less than 50 members, over 25, somewhere in that range. They have a base of operations currently, so in South Boston. I'll pull open the map. The castle here is a place that they have claimed for themselves, and that is currently their main base of operations. They probably have outposts in some other settlements, just smaller establishments kind of. But the castle has a bunch of different like rooms to it. Not a bunch. It has like I guess 5 main rooms. So it has like a kitchen / pantry, has an armory, a workshop, a barracks, and a courtyard kind of in the middle. So I guess 4 rooms, and then the courtyard, because it's kind of like a star-shaped place. And then in the workshop, they have pretty much all the workbenches. We got armor workbench, cooking station, robot workbench, and weapons workbench. They don't have a power armor station, but nobody in the guild currently has power armor. And they did have a chemistry workbench, but that recently got destroyed by some rad roaches, which is what actually brought Lilith to Boston, where she's currently having a bit of a scuffle. I'll quickly just note on some other factions that I've created to help flesh out the world a bit. So I want to have kind of 3 friendly / neutral factions, and then 3 hostile and feuding factions. So some friendly and neutral factions: the Commonwealth Scientists Guild, which is kind of self-explanatory. It's just a guild of scientists and engineers and whatnot. You have the Wasteland Farmers Coalition. So once again, pretty self-explanatory. It's just a group of farmers. And then you have the Silver Line Caravan Company, one of the main trading guilds here in the Wasteland. And then for some feuding factions, you have the Iron Reapers. So I'll read the description for these. They're a heavily armored raider gang that prioritizes brute force and has clashed with the Neon Maruaders over territory and resources. Their leader, a former Brotherhood of Steel paladin, utilizes power armor in raids. Another hostile faction is the Rust Devils. It's a gang that specializes the use of robots in combat, often clashing with the Neon Maruaders over salvage rights to robotic parts and technology. And the final one is the Green Monsters, named after the pre-war mascot in Fenway Park. The gangs have made the ruins of their park their base. They are notorious for their savage tactics and have a bitter rivalry with the Neon Maruaders over control of trade routes. I also have a good number of NPCs created. I basically have 4 for the Neon Maruaders. Like I said, there's a good number of them, especially at the base. There's probably like at least a dozen or so that are normally around the base, and then maybe another dozen or so out in the Wasteland proper. Some of the name ones just have nicknames. So Circuit is like the gang's chief engineer that deals with like energy weapons. You have Ghost, who is the stealth specialist. Blaze, who is a fiery combatant who deals and specializes with flamethrowers and incendiary weapons. And then finally we have Ratchet, who is the lead mechanic, help dealing with more of the vehicles and robotic units. I also then came up with basically 2 NPCs for each of the friendly / neutral factions, and then 2 for all of the hostile and feuding factions. I'm not going to go over all of them, but you can see it. If you want to pause it, you can kind of read some of those that I have detailed out there. Before I hop back into this, I'll also quickly note some threads that are going on, so that I've created for what's going on, what's Lilith trying to do. So I kind of mentioned she's trying to become queen of the raiders and kind of rule the wasteland. But right now, there's 3 feuding factions that she kind of has to deal with. So that's the first 3 quests here, is defeating the Iron Reapers, defeating the Rust Devils, and defeating the Green Monsters. I also wanted to add in some extra little other side quests, just smaller stuff that potentially we could deal with here soon. So there is this Gwent Brewery, which is kind of just north here. I can ping it on the map of the castle, that she's trying to get them on their side, essentially, just so they have a source of alcohol and just try to have more people on their side, essentially. Also, there is this masked vigilante named the Silver Shroud that keeps appearing and messing with Lilith's plan, and she's getting real annoyed with them because they keep getting away every time. So she's kind of, the Silver Shroud has made her shit list. She is kind of out for blood to deal with the Silver Shroud. Now maybe she might try to like recruit them at first, if that's a possibility, but if not, she's just out for blood trying to kill them. Another thing, quest that might be going on here, is that VRAM in one of their recent expeditions out in the wasteland has picked up signals from a radio tower that seems semi-functional, but it's not currently being used. So she wants to investigate the tower, see what its deal is, and possibly take it over as a way to have the Neon Maruaders have their own broadcast tower and, you know, pump some propaganda out into the wasteland. And then finally, the last little thread, which is the one that we're currently doing, is acquiring supplies for a new chemistry workbench. So recently, the castle, their main base, has dealt with a infestation of rad roaches, which at this point seems like it's mostly dealt with. They kind of got into some supplies, and one of the things is they ate all the chemicals on the chemistry workbench, or knocked them over. You know, they had some nice chemical soup and knocked over all the supplies for the chemistry workbench. So now it's kind of useless. So that has led Lilith to making a trip up to Boston, specifically to Good Neighbor, which is like a little trading hub where the Silver Line Caravan Company usually has a stand set up to go get some supplies for a new chemistry workbench, which she was able to do. She's got the supplies in her backpack and was ready to head back. But while she was in Boston, she was like, you know what? I'm gonna ask around and see if I can get any word on what's going on with the Green Monsters. Because like I kind of mentioned, the Green Monsters are based out of Fenway Park, aka Diamond City. So that's like right down here. So while in Boston, you know what? Let's just see if we can figure out what they're up to, and maybe get an idea of how to start dealing with them and stuff like that. Just getting some general info. Well, she was not able to get any info, and one of the people she talked with turns out to be a member of the Green Monsters. And this guy named Felix was pretty suspicious because Lilith is pretty well known, especially with the Green Monsters, since they feud. So Felix was he was pretty aware of like, he was pretty suspicious, I guess, of Lilith and possibly knowing who she is. Especially there's word that Lilith always travels with her robot companion VRAM. So when approached and asking about the Green Monsters, he started getting suspicious and asked her, like, are you Lilith? And Lilith tried to lie and be like, no, I'm not. But this guy knew too much, knew who she was, and made the bold attack, pulling out his machete and attacking Lilith, which is where we kind of hopped in with this. And that's where we're going to flash back to, is the mid-combat, Felix attacking her with the machete, slicing at her, nailing a hit on her right leg, and then attacking VRAM, nailing him in the chest, and doing some damage to both. But now, combat-wise, initiative-wise, it's back to Lilith. So what is she going to do? Well, like I said, she kind of specializes with her laser gun. It's one of her main weapons. It's nice that she deals extra damage with her laser weapons because of her Laser Commander perk. So, and this laser gun also has the close quarters quality to it, which means even though like he just sliced her, normally if you're like pretty close to somebody, you'll have disadvantage, not like D&D disadvantage, but you'll have like a negative modifier for your attack. But close quarters means you can use this gun at close quarters and it's not going to really matter too much. So Lilith, after getting slashed in her leg with a machete, she pulls out her laser pistol, takes aim with her minor action, and shoots at Felix here. And let's see how that goes. Right now, we don't have a lot of action points, because I'll be honest, we did have a decent amount, and we just spent a lot trying to convince Felix not to attack us. It didn't work, and now we only have 2. I'm gonna hold off, because I might save him for VRAM's attack, because I kind of want his to land a bit more. So let's see how this goes. I don't even know what their defense rating is, so let's see real fast. They've only defense 1, so this is going to go decently maybe, especially because I minor action aim to reroll one of my dice. Oh boy, that's not good though. That is not good. I mean, I can reroll 1, but this has got to be a decent roll. She completely misses. Her leg being hit has kind of thrown off her balance, and she can't really aim right, even though she's like within arm's reach. But it's, getting slashed in the leg with a machete really messes up your focus. So she's kind of all over the place and not able to land a shot, unfortunately, even though she aimed. But no luck there. So now we're on to VRAM's turn, and VRAM also just got slashed in the torso. He's not too happy, so he is also going to take aim with his trusty buzzsaw attachment and try to slash at this this guy here. Let's see how this goes. I'm actually going to spend an action point to get an extra dice here, because I really want this to land. Well, actually, yeah. No, I won't. I actually won't, because I want to save. I don't want to use up all my action points yet. Okay, I'm glad I didn't, because that's 2 action points banked, and then I'm going to immediately... Well, let me roll for damage first. I'll bank the action points. I'll roll for damage, and then I might use an action point for his perk that VRAM has here. So let's see how much decent amount of damage. Okay, 5 damage. That's a formidable amount. And VRAM has the Slayer perk, which says when you inflict damage with an unarmed attack or a melee weapon, which this buzzsaw is definitely a melee weapon, you can spend 1 luck point. Oh, I forgot it was luck, not action points. But whatever, we'll still do it. To inflict a critical hit. Unfortunately, since I was just... I kind of went into that a little bit too quickly, because I meant to aim at his arm to try to cut off his arm, essentially, so he would drop his weapon. But instead, VRAM hit his right leg, which still isn't bad. That just means he's going to fall prone, I believe. Let me double check that real fast. Yeah, so it looks like he not only does Felix fall prone, but the effects of being prone is that you crawl. The move action becomes a major action rather than a minor action. You can't sprint. And when you're prone, enemies at medium range add +1 difficulty, but since we're close, we actually can reduce the difficulty of attacks by 1 to a minimum of 0, which is pretty good. So essentially, the move action becomes a major action, and that's how you would stand back up. So VRAM slashes at his leg, his leg buckles, and he falls to the ground, and now he's not going to be able to get back up without spending his whole action to do so. Also, he has taken 5 damage. I don't know why this is 21. I think they only have 12. Let me double check real fast. No, they definitely have 21. Well, they did, and now they have 16. So, yeah, VRAM is able to slice his leg. He falls to the ground, and he is now prone. Unfortunately, it is back to his turn. What I might do, though, is while he's prone, I might have Lilith. Let me see. I don't think she's used any of her luck points yet. She is not. So I might spend a luck point to use, what is it, the lucky draw? Is that what it's called? Lucky timing, where at the start of a combat round, you can spend a luck point to interrupt the normal initiative order and take your turn for this round immediately, which is what she's gonna do. So she sees this guy fall to the ground, and she's like, you know what, this is my time to shine. I gotta spring into action here. So with this guy down, she is going to just shoot at him with her laser gun again. She will definitely aim and also spend an action point to get an extra d20, because I don't want this to miss. And we got 2 successes. Right now his defense is 1, but then since he's prone, it's actually 0, so that means she gets 2 action points Well, I did aim, so I can reroll this as well to maybe even get more. So that's 3 action points we just netted. Pretty great. And now she can roll damage for her laser pistol or laser gun, which definitely is not the best, but 3 damage to his torso. Okay, and also I messed up the damage a little bit earlier, so it looks like overall, I don't know where this is noted, but I had to like pull up the sheet in the PDF, and this guy has 2 physical resistance, 2 energy resistance everywhere. So even though VRAM did 5 damage, it's only actually going to do 3. So he's still at 18 health, which is kind of a lot, but she just did 3, which is only going to actually do 1, unfortunately. Oh, I should have. Oh, I'm going to actually retroactively, because I always forget about this, is add extra damage with the fire rate for this gun. So this gun has a fire rate of 2, so that means I can add 2 extra shots with it, which I'll go ahead and do because I would have done that anyway. That's only gonna do 1 extra damage, but you know what? I'll take it. It's right now we need to take this guy out. So cool. So Lilith jumped ahead in the initiative, but this dude is not doing too good. It's back to his turn, and he's prone, so he's gonna use his whole action to stand up. Then it would be Lilith's turn. Lilith already went, so we're back to VRAM, and let's see what's gonna happen next. So yeah, I think this time VRAM's gonna aim with his buzzsaw, and this time he's gonna aim specifically for the, I guess, whichever arm this raider is holding the machete in. Probably his right arm, I guess. Most people are right-handed, or majority of people are. I don't know. But he'll just, aim at the arm that's holding the machete and try to chop that off. So let's see how his buzzsaw attack goes, which I will definitely spend an action point to get an extra D20 to roll. I also did aim, so I can re-roll that 20, because that is not good. I did get 2 successes, which is all I needed, because they have base 1 defense, but then aiming for a specific part makes it 2. I got 4 successes, so that boosts us up to the max 6 action points, which is pretty sweet. So not only, I actually might go ahead and spend 2 action points just to do some extra damage with the buzzsaw. So instead of rolling 4 dice, I will roll 6. Not bad. Let's see how much damage we do. 7 damage. And I also forgot he has piercing, so that actually should have done 1 more damage earlier. So I'll mark that down as he was actually supposed to be at 15. And then with this 7 damage, it's actually minus 6. So that means he's down to 9. And then I'll go ahead and spend a luck point to go ahead and chop off his arm that was holding the machete. So not maybe fully chop it off, but at least like heavily slice through it and essentially just doing a critical hit on it, which critical hit on the arm says you drop any object held in that hand, the arm is broken or otherwise unusable to move. You cannot perform any actions using that arm by itself or alongside your other arm. So I think he can still pick up, like he dropped the machete, he has a bonus action to pick it up and then try to swing again, I think is kind of what happens here. But right now he's not doing too good. He's down to 9 health. We're still doing okay on our health right now. And I imagine, let's see, let's go back to the top of the initiative. It's now their turn. See, I imagine they sliced his one arm, he drops the machete, he uses his other arm to pick up the machete, and then tries to swing at VRAM with it, which since he uses minor action to pick up an object, he won't be able to aim. So he will just, we're not rolling damage yet. We're just seeing what happens here. That's not good. He gets +2 action points, which in combat, I just like immediately rolling those action points to damage. So VRAM's gonna be taking a big old hit here, even though his probably dominant arm is injured. He rallies, picks up the machete, and swings it at, where's he hit? VRAM's torso again. Unfortunate. Let's hope this is not a lot of damage. And that's 2 damage, which is how much his armor blocks. The machete does have piercing though, so that does deal 1 damage, and I guess I should have dealt 1 more damage from earlier, so because of piercing. So he's actually down to 8. Not that bad for how many dice were just rolled, and I think we'll be able to finish him off in the next 2 turns. So it's back to Lilth. She pulls out her pistol again, takes aim, not aiming at any specific part, and I'll definitely spend an action point to get an extra dice. And let's see how this goes. That's looking pretty good. That's 4 successes. She only needed 1, so that's 3 extra action points. We are back at max action points, which is great. She doesn't even need to use the aim. Let's laser pistol this up and see how much damage we do. That's a formidable amount, and then I'll go ahead and spend the 2 extra charges just to use the fire rate of the pistol and see if we could do some extra damage. I guess the laser gun also has piercing one. I didn't realize that, but whatever. So that means, and that's 2 effects, so I guess it pierces through the armor and then deals 6 damage. I might have not played that right earlier, but regardless, this guy is not looking good. He's at 3 health. Where did she just hit him? In his right arm. So I guess if his right arm I like slashed earlier, she just starts shooting at it just to make sure it's even more unusable at this point. And this guy is looking he's on the verge of death at this point, which we're not showing him any mercy. He attacked us. And so this is just how this has to go down. So it's back to VRAM's turn, right? Which he is probably going to be able to finish this off. He will aim with his buzzsaw, use an action point for an extra dice, and let's see if we can finish this guy off. Hopefully. That looks pretty sweet. Yeah, we have more than enough action points. That's 4 successes. I'll go ahead and spend an extra action point to deal an extra damage. So we'll be up to 5 dice, and hopefully that's enough. That's 5 damage with no piercing, so it's only 3 damage, but that's exactly how much he has. So VRAM targets the other arm that's now holding the machete, slices that off, and that's enough damage. Blood's coming out. This dude falls to the ground dead. Whew. That was a little bit more intense than I anticipated. I didn't know what NPC to make them, so I rolled earlier to see if they had like allies around, which that was like one of the first things I did. You can even see the roll. I don't even know where it was. It was before all of this happened. I think it was right here. I was asking, does he attack? It was yes. And then is there allies around? No. So let me see what he has loot-wise before we try to bounce out of here, because I imagine if there's no allies of his right around here, I mean, they're probably pretty frequent in Boston, and there's, we're in a city right now, so even though we might not be directly where there's a lot of people, there's probably going to be eyes around here somewhere that we don't want to hang around too long. So let me see what they have loot-wise. Well, first, before I forget, because this is something I would definitely forget about, killing them, we got 120 XP, which is not too bad. So Lilith should have some XP from stuff I did earlier, but maybe I didn't quite track that correctly. But they should both have some XP. I might have to look into that, but whatever. It wasn't much. We didn't do too much. We were killing some rad roaches, so I think it might have been, I'll add like an extra 30. I think that's all it was. So he'll be up to 150, and she'll be also up to 150. And as you can see, also, VRAM's only level 3. I made Lilith level 5. VRAM's only level 3, though. She's a bit more experienced. But yeah, so we got XP. Also, they have Wealth 2, which means we get to roll 2d20, it's the name of the game, and get that many caps. So let's see, hopefully a decent roll. That's a 2 and a 9. 11 caps, okay, that's something. That puts Lilith up to 176, and VRAM still has his, I think, initial 250 that he started with, because I don't think I really got anything for him. I just mainly spent Lilith's caps to get stuff. And then also he has a couple of items. So he has spike armor, combat rifle, and machete, which I'll go ahead and I'll have VRAM hold all that. Okay, well, I mean, that's not how exactly I wanted all that to go, but I guess in the end, it all was okay-ish. VRAM took a couple of hits, so he's down to 10 out of 12 health. Lilith has, well, that's not right. Let me click on this. I need to make sure I'm updating her thing and not the token, because I think that's why I didn't have the right amount of XP earlier. So she's at 11 out of 13. So not they both took 2 damage. All in all, not too bad. Huh. Okay. Well, that was a whole thing. So I think we're after all of that, we'll say at least getting to Good Neighbor we were there at like 150. Shopping around probably took not too long because we knew where to find the Silver Wine Caravan Company stand. So that probably only took like 20 minutes total to go there, buy the stuff. And that whole exchange, we'll say it's another 20 minutes because we were asking around for rumors and we encountered Felix. There was a whole fight. So let's say it's about 2:30 now. I should have known this earlier, but you can see in my little scene description. It's currently summer day 2. I am using the Iron Valley like season way of doing seasons because I like it. It's just a little bit simpler. Like, yeah, I could do months and whatnot, but it's just a bit easier to have instead of doing months, just doing the 4 seasons, and each season just has 25 days. I know that's not super accurate, but it's just a little bit easier wise to track. And then also I've stolen the Iron Valley weather oracles that I roll on at the beginning of every day just to see what the weather is like. So today's a bit cloudy. Not too bad though. So I think with all that done, after taking a bit of damage, I think we're probably going to head back to the castle, spend some time setting up the chemistry workbench, probably healing up a little bit, dropping off our loot, and then maybe going to investigate that radio tower as long as nothing crazy happens on the way back, which who knows, it might. So let me quickly add a new journal entry for the new scene number 4. All right, new journal entry has been created, and last thing to do is adjust the chaos factor, which I would say definitely goes up. That scene did not go quite the way we wanted. We did get the supplies, but then we looked for rumors. We didn't find any. We found one of the members of the group. We were not able to convince them that we're not the person he thought we were, and then he attacked us and had to die because of it. But you know what? That's what they get. Mess around, find out. That's what they did. So I will quickly roll to see if there's any scene alterations for the trip back to the castle. The scene was altered. Oh boy. Okay, so since it was altered, that means I just had to pull up Mythic, because I always forget the difference between altered and interrupt. So altered is scene begins in the next most expected way, as though Mythic heard your idea and say, let's try something else. The altered scene may be nearly identical to the expected scene except for one detail. So I think if it was interrupted, I think that makes sense that on our journey back, something happens, we're interrupted. But I think what altered means is either, I think we get back to the base, but then something's going on there that we have to deal with. Just as a quick little note, as you can see, I got my maps here from Game Maps that I had been using before. I don't know what scale I was using, and I tried my best to figure out how accurate this is, but how I'm essentially playing it out is, you can see that there's like a grid here. I'm playing it, each grid square is about a half mile. Yeah, so when I mapped it out earlier, I estimated it was about 4 miles to get here, which our agility score is 5, so we travel at about 2 miles an hour, so it took about 2 hours to get here. So we'll say at about 4:30 is when we roll up back at the base, and something's going on, I guess, at the castle. Okay, so what's going on at the castle when we get there? That's a great question. I have zero idea. I'll probably just roll up a random action or something. I kind of want to see, though, maybe roll on either the thread list or the character list. Characters, I don't think I pulled this up earlier. I don't have any really NPCs in here at the moment. I mainly just have the different factions. I have the castle, Neon Maruaders, the Scientist Guild, Farmers Coalition, Silverline Caravan Company, all the hostile, and I do have the one Silver Shroud NPC in there. And I could add a lot of the more like NPCs from the specific factions, but at the moment I just decided the factions as a whole is probably enough for this purpose. So maybe I'll just straight up ask Mythic, is the scene alteration something with one of the threads we have going on? And I'm just gonna do unsure because I have zero idea of what it could be. Yes. Okay. So maybe I'll roll in the threads list. I'm kind of scared. Oh, okay. Investigating the newly discovered pre-war radio station. So I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. That's one of my current threads that I was actually planning on investigating and kind of working on next. And I kind of imagine this station here is where the signal is coming from. I also imagine we don't know exactly that it's there at the moment. We know it's in that direction. Maybe VRAM could kind of pinpoint the general location. So in game, Lilith has no idea exactly where the station is. I think I'm gonna say it's probably that station. So what could the alteration be? Maybe before we're just kind of picking up static signals, but now something else is going on. Like we're getting some other signal, or we're hearing a message through it. Maybe. What I kind of want to do is maybe roll on the descriptions. Mythic table and see if that gives me any inspiration on what exactly this could be, because I don't know. Hopelessly, oh boy. And then we get hopelessly scary. Okay, give me a hot second. Let me think on that. So real quick before I try to piece this together a bit more, what I'm gonna do is ask Mythic, is this, I assume it's a new, radio message or something we're picking up from the station. Before it was mainly just static, but we could tell there was some station nearby, but they're not like broadcasting anything. Obviously, there's now being something broadcasted related to something hopelessly scary, which is a bit concerning. I'm gonna ask Mythic, is it related to any of our current character list? So basically any of the main factions or the Silver Shroud. I'm gonna go unlikely, but I don't know for sure. I think it's not, I'm not unsure, but I think it's, I don't know. Let's see what Mythic gives back. No, okay, so it's not like, yeah, it's not like the Silver Shroud's there or something like that or anything, or like that one of our hostile factions we're feuding with beat us there and is like making threats over the radio or something like that. Okay, so let me think on this for maybe another minute about what hopelessly scary message we pick up on the radio, because I imagine like we're taking like this highway here down and then like kind of cutting across here. So I maybe like before we cut across, like around this part, is what maybe when we kind of, that's when the signal would be the strongest, and maybe that's when we're able to pick up this new message that wasn't there, that I guess is hopelessly scary. Okay, so I rolled up an action meaning, and I got proceed and prison. So I think this was an supposedly abandoned radio tower before, which would have been a bit of an easier thing. We could just walk in, maybe have to deal with some like turrets or something there. But it seems like now someone has either broken into it or has a way that they've like intercepted the signal or now broadcasting a scary message about them imprisoning a person or some people, a group of people. I'm curious, are they targeting the Neon Maruaders? Are they putting threats out towards my raider guild here, my faction? Are they trying to like threaten us, like, oh, and maybe trying to like rally to get help to like lock up all of us or something? Is this dealing with the Neon Maruaders? I'm gonna go unsure because, well, maybe I'll go likely because it could be, and this is our base of operations, so we're pretty active in this area, so there's a chance we've really pissed off some people in the process of doing this. We do have some allies and some people that tolerate us, but there are some pretty aggressive factions out there that don't want us around. So are we the kind of target of this message? Yes or no? Gosh, yes. Okay. So proceed in prison. So it sounds like, my guess is we pick up a signal that someone, is essentially has hijacked the signal there, is maybe trying to put out a bit of a bat signal, or trying to put out a, not distress signal, but more, more of just a call to help, not a call for help, but like a call to arms, kind of, to help try to lock up, I guess, all of the Neon Marauders. I don't know, proceed with prison. Yeah, I guess the only thing I could think of. I mean, I don't have to go with that, but that I can make that work. Okay. So that's concerning. But that's definitely a good scene alteration, because it didn't really interrupt our journey, but like I said, that was kind of the next little quest I was planning on going on, was dealing with that whole thing. So yeah, let me quickly let me add that into the journal real fast. Okay, so yeah, on the trip back to the castle, VRAM picks up a signal from the broadcast tower that was only static before. The message is targeting the Neon Marauders in hopes of getting people to help lock us up. So this was going to be a quest that I was just going to do whenever, but now it seems like there is a lot more pressure to do this soon, because the longer these people are out there trying to rally people against us, the worse it will be for us. Right now it is evening as we roll up back to the castle, which is pretty good timing, because then we could do our classic wait till nightfall and then attack then. That's kind of our signature thing, is attacking at night with our laser guns and plasma pistols, lighting up the sky with our force to be reckoned with. So let me first go back to the castle. I'm going to drop off some of the items we got. I want to reset up the chemistry workbench, which this will take like basically no time. And then, I don't know, rally the troops and put together a bit of a raiding party. Probably just, rest up a little bit, heal up a bit of damage, get some food, maybe a quick nap in or something. And then, after sunsets, once we have a party together, go hit up that broadcast tower and see who's there, and try to put a stop to this, because I want control of that tower. I want to be the one putting out propaganda, not them. This is not good for the old Neon Marauders, so this needs to be put to an end here. So let me quickly drop off the items. I'll just quickly transfer some of the stuff to the castle. I imagine we just have storage there that we could drop. So I'm gonna drop off like the weapons we picked up, the armor we picked up, drop off the chemistry supplies to set up the chemistry workbench, so we have that running again. And then I'll kind of start putting a little bit of a party together. Oh, this is cool. So I didn't realize with this Foundry module that you can actually create like an actor. One of the options is a settlement. And I do know that one of the newer expansions for this game adds a whole settlement system where you can have jobs and people, and like you can see up here, you have beds, defense, power, water, food, people, happiness and income, and you can add settlers and jobs and rooms and structures and leaders, which I'd love to get that expansion at some point and start messing with that, incorporating it into my game. I currently don't have that, so I'm using this just mainly for the stockpile tab, just to throw some items there, just so we don't have to carry them. I imagine as they get back to the castle, Lilth looks at VRAM and hits her with their classic catchphrase, "I think that went really well." And they set up the new chemistry workbench, which isn't much to set up. It's just getting all the supplies in order, cleaning off the old one that the rad roaches messed up. Lilth then went to repair VRAM, and also rested up and grabbed some food, which I fast forwarded about 2 hours. So it's now 6:30. And I think Lilth is now going to try to gather a handful of other members of the Neon Marauders and try to make their way. Because first they have to find this broadcast tower. And then we have to deal with whoever is there, which I guess they didn't identify themselves. So there's a good chance it's probably one of the factions we're feuding with, but they didn't at least name themselves, which makes sense. They don't want to out themselves and be like, this is the Rust Devils, and we want the Neon Marauders locked up. No, they're probably just kind of making vague threats, I guess, that are a little little spooky to us because, it's not a great thing to hear, especially because we thought that place was abandoned, which I think it was at one point, but now it's either they're taking it over or they've somehow like hijacked and intercepted the signal. So I don't really know what's going on there. So I think I will wrap up there, but before I do, I will real fast also, since we completed the thread to acquire supplies for the new workbench, that was just a minor quest, so I will erase that from the list and get myself some XP. So let me real quick see how much XP we get for that. Okay, so it looks like Lilith gets 300 since she's level 5. And what I'm going to do is I definitely completed at least one other minor quest that the XP didn't carry over because I didn't record it right. So I'm going to give her actually 600. So she's up to 750 XP. Essentially halfway to level 6, which is not bad. And then VRAM, since he's level 3, gets 120, which same thing. I had some XP that didn't carry over, so I'll actually give them 240, which then puts them at 390. Hopefully I'm doing that math right. But yeah, I think that's where I will wrap up this play session of Lilith and VRAM. Thankfully, they both survived. Like I said, I put in a lot of time with like Lilith's backstory and coming up with her character and coming up with these factions and the NPCs for the factions and figure out what's going on. I've definitely spent a good couple hours for sure. Probably the most time I spent kind of setting up a solo play session and kind of doing a bit of groundwork for the backstory. So I'm hoping to return to this pretty often, and hopefully Lilith can eventually become Queen of the Raiders and rule the wasteland. I hope that's the case, because I'm kind of liking this character, where the story is going so far. But yeah, I think should be a pretty good time. And also, I should note, Lilith and VRAM, they're both references to something. So if you know those references, drop a comment below. Let me know if you know, because I know. But do you know? I know. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. And until next time, I'll see ya.